Okay, we're good.
My name's Ryan Donovan. I am the production and technical director here at 514 Church. I never expected to be here. This wasn't necessarily my career path. I have an accounting degree and decided I hated accounting and felt like this was the path that God had me on and that this is what I, am going to be a part of until I feel like God calls me in a different direction. So I think a lot of people struggle to find thankfulness or to be thankful in the midst of, the struggles in their life. But as I've been self-examining, what is my journey with thankfulness, I've really started to come to the conclusion that my biggest struggle is being thankful outside of the struggles.
My husband Tony and I became licensed foster parents in February, and a few days later we got our first placement of a little girl, and it was 1 week before her second birthday. It was super crazy and super exciting to finally become parents. So 3 weeks later, the world completely shut down, and not only are we new parents, it's not a baby, we have a toddler, and it was literally crazy. It was the hardest season to try to figure out, but we had all this extra time with her, which was so special. The primary goal in foster care is always to reunify the child with their parent, their biological parent. And she could leave at any time, and we were so lucky to get all this extra unexpected time with her.
I am Lopez. I've been attending 514 Church for about, 4 or 5 years now. Right now, I currently do social media and photography and graphic design for the church. I want to make sure the church looks perfect. And so that's the big thing for me. Okay, I was born in South Carolina, moved when I was 8. And we traveled all the way to Michigan. Time in Michigan was rough. Time in Michigan was difficult. We were homeless. We lived in our car for 6 months. We lived in multiple abandoned houses. It was really hard. It was difficult. My dad did drugs. My mom was an alcoholic. There was just so much around me that was just dark and heavy.
My wife and I, over the last 12 months and everything with COVID, we've been very, very fortunate that we've been relatively unaffected by that. We've had people really close to us lose jobs and we've seen that. And for us, we've just been insulated from that, not really because of anything we've done. The other thing, for me personally, I have this very, I'm going to call it a laid back approach to life. And I don't say that to brag, but like one of my top strengths is adaptability. And so when I go through different, things in life that might, rattle somebody a little bit, I kind of have this perspective and everybody at the office makes fun of me because I'm like, it'll be fine. And part of that is like deep seated inside of me. Like I really believe that no matter what happens, like it's going to be fine. Not that I haven't had hard times. I'm married. Marriage is difficult. I have two toddlers. Like that's a whole world. My wife and I, we've experienced a miscarriage right after we got married. I've got baggage from my past. My parents got divorced. Like I've gone through hard times. What I've realized is that knowing that everything is going to be fine or that life is going to go on is not the same as being thankful.
I'm Jackie Creator. I got involved with 514 about 2 years ago. I reached out to them for an internship actually through college, and I've been with them since. I'm kind of helping out with production, and I play keys on the worship team, which is awesome. I graduated in spring of 2020, and that was definitely a unique situation. I kind of didn't even know for a few weeks if I was going to be able to graduate. I still had to be at my internship, but I didn't know if I had housing. I didn't have housing for a few weeks because we were asked to move off campus. There was, for a while, no way for me to complete my path to my degree.
Looking back now, I just would have never thought that I'd be able to make it through all that. But God always placed people in my life to encourage me, to make sure that I can push through that adversity, that I would see a brighter day. And every time I felt down, God always placed someone to encourage me to be better and to do better and to achieve my dreams and to move forward. And so through that, that kind of transition and helped me to do better in school and to go to college.
So I feel like a lot of people are doing this, but we got sick of our house during the pandemic and decided to sell it and buy a new one. We decided this very consciously as a family, that if we wanted to continue to grow our family, to be able to foster more children, that we just needed more space. So Labor Day weekend, we went into contract on a new house that we were buying. This was on a Friday night. And Tuesday, we got a call to take a baby boy. And we felt this was such a clear sign from God that we need to say yes. We are buying this house for this reason. And so we said yes to taking a baby. So we are crazy, and we have 4 dogs. So now we have 2 little kids and 4 dogs that at every phone call, we have a house showing. We're packing everyone up and getting out. We're keeping the house show ready. It was the most chaotic season you can imagine. Fast forward to October 23rd, we're closing on selling our house and buying the new one. October 22nd, right before, we got the dreaded foster parent phone call that our baby boy is going to be moved to be with family. There's so many conflicting emotions. It's so happy that he's going to be with family and closer to being back with his mom, but it's hard for us, and it's sad, and we love him and want him to stay with us.
And it ended up working out, but then after that, I moved to Columbus and was completely alone. And I'd been alone during quarantine, March through like May, just by myself. And then I moved to a new city as well, where I also was pretty alone. And I think I've always struggled with wanting to be in control and wanting to know several steps ahead. I always want to be able to plan several months, even a year in advance. And so when I graduated college, it kind of hit me all at once that I didn't know what even the next few weeks were going to hold. So I started having really bad anxiety. It would keep me up at night. I'd be just filled with anxiety and dread over not knowing what the next day would hold. I had some pretty intense panic attacks for the first time in my life, and I kind of felt lost in a sense of I felt like I lost my identity in not knowing where I was going to be in the next year.
Thinking through this, one thing I realized is that being thankful requires me to have someone to be thankful to. One of my favorite scriptures is in James, and it says, every good and perfect gift is from our Heavenly Father. And so for me to be able to slow down and look at those good things that I have in my life and point a finger at them and say, that is a gift from God. So often that's the struggle for me. What I'm learning is that I have no idea how much God loves me and cares for me and provides for me and wants me to have and experience all these good things in my life. It's shocking to me that those moments of clarity that I do have where I'm like, man, God, you do bless me. You have given me so much. I have, this is all because of who you are. I'm shocked with how much grace and love God has for me in those moments. And he's not upset with me. He's not angry at me. And I feel fully embraced by God, despite my being so ungrateful and so unthankful for 99% of my life.
Transitioning from out of high school, I went to college. I got a scholarship going to college, which was exciting and fun. And I went to school in Minnesota my first year, then I transferred to a school in Ohio. I was always connected with this couple. I knew them before I went to Mount Vernon, and when I graduated with my undergrad, they opened their home to me. They were like, hey, you can stay with us while you go through your master's program. And it took a burden off of me because I thought I was going to be homeless again. I thought I was going to be just like my family. I didn't know where I was going to go after college. I didn't have a job lined up. I applied for so much. I did so much. And just everything kept falling through, and it failed. And they were just like, you know what? Our house is open. You can stay with us as long as you want. I remember vividly that I didn't have my driver's license at the time. And I was 23. I didn't have my driver's license, and they taught me how to drive. They're just amazing people in my life that God has placed in my life to show me and lead me down a direction to lift His name and to encourage the people around me. It's hard because I get emotional about it, because if it wasn't for them, I don't know where I would be. I would be totally lost. And if we really want to talk about it, if it wasn't for God doing this for me, I will be gone. I will be at a totally different place. I wouldn't have a college degree. I wouldn't have a master's. I wouldn't be able to know how to drive. I'll just be doing totally different things.
2020 was a really hard wake-up call for me that I was really comfortable planning my own life and not relying on God. I think I was really, really okay with the way I had planned my life, and I was pretty certain in the plans that I had made. And when those fell through, I really realized that I was relying on my own interest and my own ability to see or predict the future and kind of plan for that, rather than relying on God's grace to get me through each day. And so that was a really hard transition because it was really scary. It felt like jumping out of an airplane with no parachute on. I kind of felt like I had the safety net of like knowing what the next few months would look like, and then pivoting myself towards trusting God by just taking it a day at a time really tested my faith, but it also grew my faith a lot. And so I ended up just taking one day at a time. I ended up taking more time thanking God for what I had already been given, rather than asking God what was next.
Someone said to me, wouldn't it have been easier to just say no to taking the baby? Wouldn't it have made this season way less chaotic and way easier for you? And sure, it would have maybe made our lives a little easier, but we would have completely missed out on the plan that God had for us. He gave us this opportunity to love a baby, to grow in our marriage, to grow as parents, to give this baby a safe home where he's so loved, to let our little girl be a big sister, and to love on her Bubba so much. We have been so blessed, and if we would have said no to that phone call, then we would have missed out on God's great plan for us.
So where I'm at now is I'm trying to be disciplined and take the time in my life to slow down and to take a breath and look around me and acknowledge everything good that I have. I have so many things to be thankful for, and to look at those things and acknowledge that God is the giver of good things, and He's the one that I'm supposed to be thankful for.
So now I look back through even being homeless and having people pouring into my life. I look back to my time in my college career, my master's career, and all these people, the couple that poured into my life. I look back through all that and I say, hey, I want to be just like that. I want to open up my home and let people in and say, hey, you need a place to stay? Totally fine. I got you. I want to be the person. You need a ride to school. You need a ride to work. I want to continue to pour in people's lives and to encourage them and to let them know, hey, you got this. It's okay. And so all that to say is that I want to encourage people around me. I'm grateful for the people around me. I think about it all the time. If it wasn't for them and if it wasn't for God placing those people in my life, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be in the position I am now. And I'm just incredibly thankful for them. They just poured in love into my life.
In the midst of experiencing all these great things in my life and coming to the understanding that they are from God, I'm still thankful.
Even though our baby boy is leaving sooner than we expected, I'm still thankful.
No matter what happens, God has continued to put people in my life. And because of that, I am still thankful.
This year I realized that I won't always know what's next, but I'm still thankful.
I'm still thankful.
I am still thankful.
I'm still thankful.